Hello. Thank you again, taking time out of your very busy schedules to join me. I hope that there is something in here that you find of value to you or somebody that you know. Please share or like and share the video. Leave a comment down below. I do get to them. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon for those alerts. But I wanted to look in something today. I was going to read today from the Daily Mail. Again, I'm trying something new, as I mentioned earlier, for those who've been with the channel, a new toy I'm playing with. So I thought I'd try something new and see how it works out. So again, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. But I was going to read an article today from the Daily Mail, which I found really interesting. And as you can see from the headline here, um, in light of Afghanistan and Biden handing down authoritarian booster mandates that are questionable and he knows are even unconstitutional. The man who said no amendment is absolute, knowing that he's going to violate the second, the first, the, oh my gosh, 12th, 11th. Anyways, multiple violations of the Constitution. Um, and he should be impeached. Oddly enough, since both the House and the Senate are controlled by the Democrats, he will never be seeing impeachment anytime soon. Although, in my opinion, between, again, Afghanistan, inflation, he should step down and resign. Much like Milley. Well, actually, I think Milley should be hung for treason. I do. But being a vet myself, and I have spoken with a few of my friends, they do tend to agree that we're vets. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this article from the Daily Mail. Because and when I first looked at this article, it was much smaller. In the intervening time between when I first looked at it and now, it has grown in size. So I'll try to go over as much of it as I can. Please feel free to go ahead and take a look at it yourself. Take the time, trust but verify. Ronald Reagan said that. So, again, if what I've heard on these allegations and what I'm reading from the Daily Mail are even close to true, Milley needs to be hung for treason. Okay, if not treason, insurrection, coup, he needs to be fired if he can't resign, which it doesn't seem. But he's a Democrat in the cult of the Democrats right now. Cult of personality, but there is no personality. So be even more concerned. Former President Trump tore into the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley and President Biden on Wednesday night after the commander-in-chief staunchly defended the embattled general from the accusations he broke the chain of command with the call to the Chinese officials. He accused Biden of covering for Milley because of the dirty secrets the general may know about Biden's chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal. Milley never told me about the calls being made to China. From what I understand, he didn't tell many people either. The statesman began. Apparently, he did talk to Pelosi, though. This is why we have a coup. On Wednesday, Milley admitted to making 2 calls to his Chinese counterpart, both of them before the election and on January. After claiming he went behind Trump's back for fear of rogue action, see, he admits he went behind Trump's back. He admits he broke the chain of command. Wrote that the then president may take. Trump called him a complete nut job, and I agree. He put our country in a very dangerous position, but President Xi knows better and would have called me, Trump continued. The way Milley and Biden administration handled the Afghanistan withdrawal, perhaps the most embarrassing moment in our country's history, would not exactly instill fear in the Chinese. And this is very much true, as we have saw within recent days, the 4 Chinese warships within the economic zone up in Alaska. That means they went within 46 miles of Alaska. Reports actually go that they came within, they came very close to being within our 3-mile border of Alaska, actually, with one of their spy ships, one guided miss cruiser and guided missile destroyer. And the third one was the fourth one was a support ship, I believe. Now the Chinese have also gone so far as to say that they will be traveling within the waters of Hawaii's, our national waters. The Chinese have also made an attack on some Japanese fishing boats. Now, mind you, part of Japan, their coast is within 4 miles of Taiwan. So again, there's a problem. And who is America? Who is Japan's navy? Well, that would be America since World War II. Once again, we still have military groups of military force throughout the world. Why couldn't we maintain a small force in Afghanistan? No clue. I'm not the dude making negotiations. The only reason Biden will not fire or court-martial Milley is because he doesn't want him spilling the dirty secrets on Biden's deadly disaster in Afghanistan. I don't know. I think it's because he's a member of the cult. The cult of not personality, the cult of cancel culture, the cult of what's going on right now. Milley, who wants to know his white rage, and he's white. Dude, you're a moron. Trump appointed Milley to lead the Joint Chiefs in 2018, and he took over the role in 2019. Action should be taken immediately against Milley and better generals in our military, of which we have many, should get involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again. Trump said in the previous statement. Remember, I was the one who took out 100% of ISIS caliphate. Milley said it couldn't be done. Trump acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller is also called for General Mark Milley to resign. Milley, chairman, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has been branded a danger to the country, who secretly collaborated with our greatest military rival. This was Tucker Carlson, who went on to rail against Biden's endorsement of the disgraced general. In Washington, colluding with the Chinese government is not considered a sin. It's not even weird, he said. Which, again, it shouldn't be. Miller, who led the Pentagon when Milley made the call in January, said he did not and would not ever authorize the general to have the secret calls, and urged him to resign from his post. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is the highest ranking military officer whose sole role is to provide military specific advice to the president, and by law is prohibited from exercising executive authority to command forces, Miller told Fox News. Again, this is true. So you also have to ask, why is it that he had the military generals, and he even says that he felt that they were swearing an oath to him, bypassing the president, because Milley felt he was as crazy as it was, apparently felt he was the only man who could throw himself into the breach to stop Trump's madness. Mind you, again, he made a call back in October. Something doesn't match up with his story. So, meanwhile, the White House press secretary Jen Psaki reaffirmed the administration's support of Milley as a patriot and urging people to remember Trump's final 2 months in office. The outgoing president of the United States during that period fomented unrest, leading to an insurrection and an attack on our nation's capital on January 6th, she said. Actually, the FBI said that's not true. There is no proof of collaboration for January 6th. The FBI has stated as much. She added, there was broad concern from a range of members of our national security team about his behavior and fitness for office. That, again, is not necessarily true. I know I had no concern about his mental health. I have more concern about Biden's current mental health than I ever did about Trump's sanity, mental health, or condition. Oops. Going down. Again, there's this story has gotten even, at the Daily Mail itself, even this story has expanded even more. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also weighed in, saying that if the call did take place, then China could use it to their advantage, and described Milley's decision to make an unauthorized call to a Chinese general as treasonous. Meanwhile, President Biden declared that he has great confidence in Milley. I mean, the dude has a great confidence in a bag of toast. Biden's morals come into question as well, or his dedication to the promotion of what is really in the American population's best interest. Yesterday, Tucker highlighted Milley's recent favorable comments about China, and questioned whether the general was fit to occupy his position. Again, Milley thinks China is winning, and so he sucks up to his new masters. So he tells us Russia's the only country on earth that has the capacity to destroy the United States, and that's absurd. Everybody believes that the Chinese military is far, far more powerful than anything Putin controls, and it's not even close what Russia can pull. And again, this is a very true statement. Carlson continued, we don't want to jump to conclusions yet. Really? What conclusions? How much more evidence do we need exactly? And why does anyone in Washington consider this or not consider this well, I don't know why they don't consider this a crisis. This, Afghanistan, the leadership at the Pentagon, they're a joke, but anyway, the leadership at the Pentagon, some of them, anyways, constitute a threat to the United States. If they're giving, what is this? Milley's Art of War, in which the first rule is to inform the enemy of your intentions. Yeah. Strength to give the enemy military all full knowledge of what you're about to do. Okay, Milley. Former Chief of Staff Kash Patel told Fox the law governing the Joint Chiefs of Staff specifically forbids the chairman from exercising any operational command authority. The outlets also reported the call placed in October was coordinated with the then Defense Secretary Mark Esper, who was fired shortly after the election. Mike Pompeo said, if you had a senior military leader who was simply an advisor to the Chinese Communist Party, that they would get noticed of an attack. This rivals anything that we've seen in our national's history. Only the President of the United States has the capacity to make those decisions, and I'd be shocked if the then Secretary of Defense gave him any authority even to contemplate that very conversation. I imagine that it would be treasonous. And then, of course, he makes a statement about it as well, because this is all coming out because of the book Peril, which is coming out here very shortly, or I believe actually has been released, in which it talks about how he thought that, Trump was like the biggest threat to the United States, which again, I just don't see, especially when what's been going on for the past, 7-8 months now. So as you can see, it goes on and on. There is a lot. The president knows General Milley, Psaki said at her daily news briefing on Wednesday. They've worked side by side through a range of international events. For how long? The president has complete confidence in his leadership, his patriotism, and his fidelity to our Constitution. Even our president doesn't have fidelity to our Constitution. How does he have faith that this general does? Oh my gosh. She noted that Milley has held his position heading to the Joint Chiefs for 8 months of President Biden's presidency. Psaki then went on to provide context to the period in which Milley made the calls. The outgoing president of the United States during this time fomented unrest, leading to the insurrection, the attack of our nation's capital on the January 6th. Again, as I mentioned, the FBI has found no proof or evidence to this statement whatsoever. This is just Jen Psaki making up stuff because the FBI said there is no proof of collusion with regards to January 6th. She was also questioned on whether there are concerns over the U.S. military's chain of command, but used that moment to reaffirm Biden's support of Milley using the same points. Again, I think why it is important for me to convey what I did is that the president has worked side by side with Chairman Milley. I almost said Chairman Mao. With Chairman Milley for almost 8 months as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. His experience with him has been that he is a patriot. He is somebody who has fidelity of the Constitution, and he is confident in the leadership and the role that has played in his experience with him. And again, that statement alone is another reason why I've started my channel. If what we're seeing from Biden administration is an example of leadership, then Lordy, we need help. Because I believe leadership is something much different. So she added that she couldn't speak to anonymous, unconfirmed reports about prior conversations during the last administration. And again, I recommend you go ahead and take a look at the article actually from the Daily Mail, because there's a lot of information. General Milley continues to act and advise within his authority of the lawful tradition of civilian control of the military and his oath to the Constitution. But a number of right-wing figures denounced Milley as traitors. I don't consider myself necessarily, a lot more right-wing than some people, I guess, but I wouldn't consider myself an extremist. I have to agree that what he did is treason, and I think he should be hung. The only thing that's stopping that is we're not in wartime. But hey, if I have to take a vaccine, he should have to be hung. Rubio accused Milley of being the source who first told Bob Woodward and Robert Acosta of the calls when they were compiling information for their book Peril. So he even volunteered this information about how he had contacted the Chinese and said, "Don't worry, we'll let you know if we're going to attack." This also might explain the reason why the Chinese have been so aggressive since October towards Taiwan. They obviously, and see, at that time in October, they had been really officiating their control of Hong Kong, where the United States should have been, where Trump said he would have been. We should have been there to help Hong Kong as a free nation at the time maintain their freedom. Since we're whole high-handedness about this freedom or spreading freedom and equality to others, such as Afghanistan. But no, we weren't there for Hong Kong. Are we going to be there for Taiwan? I, as an American, want to be. I want to be there for our allies. Are we going to be able to be? So the allegations that Milley broke the chain of command to make this secret calls are part of Peril. Again, trying to make it sound like he was the only one able to stop this so possible nuclear war, and it was him alone because our president couldn't handle it, so he had to break chain of command and have the general swear to him to not act without his move. Milley reportedly sought to assure General Lee. This is why why Biden made a reference to General Lee, but got the name mixed up and said he mentioned too much and walked away. Milley reportedly sought to assure General Lee of the People's Liberation Army of China that the U.S. was not about to launch a strike in a pair of phone calls. And again, this was when Beijing was taking over Taiwan, or taking over Hong Kong. He was already undermining any advantage we might have had. Even again, General Milley's The Art of War. Let the enemy know what you're going to do beforehand. Tell them all of your secrets and all of your plans so that they have time to prepare. Details triggered a wave of condemnation from Republicans who accused Milley of treason. I am a vet and I accuse Milley of treason. I think he should be hung. Have I said that enough yet? Anyways, Alexander Vidman called on Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley to resign if he claims to be true. If he's a man of honor, he needs to resign. What he did was wrong. He contacted Pelosi when she was asking about the nuclear codes. Yeah. He usurped civilian authority, broke chain of command, violated the sanctimonious principle of civilian control over the military. It's an extremely dangerous precedent, Vidman, the star witness in the first impeachment of President Trump's, tweeted. You can't simply walk away from that. And it's true. Many are claiming Milley was wrong to circumvent the president, because at the time, Trump was still, again, the official rightful president of the United States. Just like Biden is at the moment the official president of the United States. Milley subverted that. He did not uphold the Constitution when he went behind Trump's back. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Buzz Patterson, an aide during Bill Clinton's administration who protected the nuclear football, said it was not Milley's job to make a decision in a civilian-controlled military. Which, again, as a former carrier of the nuclear football, this is simply unconscionable. The military doesn't get to make the calls in a civilian-controlled system. Milley needs to resign immediately, which again is true. What he did was a coup. Okay. He didn't replace, unless you look at January 6th as well. He didn't replace the current leader with a new leader. Oh wait, he did. But he didn't, because it's Julie effect. See, this is that funky gray area that our forefathers, I don't think, correctly saw, but they did put things in place, such as Pence being vice president, having the ability to stop the count. But anyways, moving on. Retired General Rob Masson tweeted, if every veteran serving in the U.S. Congress isn't calling Milley out and demanding his resignation and court-martial, they deserve a primary opponent. They also deserve to resign themselves, because resignation is not enough for what he did. And the article, it goes on, but as you see, a lot of people are calling for him to resign. Again, I'm calling for him not only to be resigned, but I don't know, jail time would be good too. The book Peril also described that retired General Keith Kellogg, who was serving as Vice President Pence's national security advisor at the time, told Trump he should send a tweet to help calm the crowd of the Capitol on January 6th. You really should do a tweet, Kellogg said, according to the book written by the journalist, and author Bob Woodward and veteran Washington Post reporter Robert Acosta. You need to get a tweet out real quick, help control the crowd up there, he said, as Trump watched the attack happen. This is out of control. They're not going to be able to control this, sir. They're not prepared for it. Once a mob starts turning like that, you've lost it. Now, I'm also going to say with comments like that, there's still a lot of questions going on as to what happened on the 6th. If it's actually true, which is hard to believe, that he would have called China and done these things and was willing to advise them as to an attack or in advance to any attack, that's treason, Trump said to Sean Spicer during an interview to Newsmax TV. The latest account details how Milley took a series of extraordinary actions after January 6th Capitol riot because he was concerned an unstable president, quote unquote unstable, President Trump might undertake military action in a desperate bid to stay in office. Now, again, I'd heard some things about that, but I never believed it, while Pelosi at the same time is throwing up fencing around the Capitol building and asking for machine gun nests to be placed around the Capitol. This is 60 caliber machine guns. This is the kind of thing we don't use in urban environments, specifically because of the amount of damage it does. But Pelosi was insisting these things be put in the Capitol. Yeah. As you can see, again, I'm like halfway through the article, and it's a really long article, and I recommend you go ahead and take the time to read it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules. I hope that there was something in here that you find of a benefit to you or somebody that you know, and if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much, and I hope that you have yourself a very beautiful day.